This is Dave. Dave is a textbook example of don't judge a book by its cover. Despite his stocky size and the 80-pound e-bike he rides, Dave pretty much is game to ride anything, even if the outcome is certain to end badly. So when I think something is going to be sketchy to ride, I give Dave a call. Just like when I built the aero jump in my backyard. It was super windy out, and I decided to have him come over and test it first. But something happened that day when we were done that I never showed on video. Dave decided he wanted to backflip it. Now, Dave had never done a backflip before, never even attempted one, but here he was on a literal 80-pound e-bike, cracking his neck backwards, deciding it was go time.
Whoa! Ho, ho.
I stopped myself.
Good.
Now luckily, it was really windy that day, so he did end up backing out. But that didn't mean he still didn't want to backflip something. So we concocted a plan to build a lake jump on his property. Dave has around 30 acres of premium land for mountain biking, of which we already built this huge drop on. And at the bottom of the land is a gorgeous 5-acre lake with a decrepit dock that has been there since before Dave bought the place. The frame on it is good, but it's gonna need a lot of love. But once we get it usable, we can stick a ramp at the end of it, and Dave can hopefully fulfill his dream of trying a backflip.
Okay, so first thing we gotta do is take this, pull it that way quite a lot, get it kind of straightened out with the road here, because this is where we'll be coming down on the bikes. So you're gonna be cruising pretty dang fast. So we'll shoot it out that way. And then I've got all these barrels in the back of the truck here that I stole from the pond skinny that we made a while back, because yeah, I took it down because nobody was riding it and it was starting to fall apart. But yeah, we're gonna take these, put them under there, get that looking all purty, and we'll start to make a ramp. But yeah, a lot of finagling to do this morning.
So the first thing we had to do was move the dock more in line with the road. That was relatively easily done by tying the dock off with some rope to a tree offshore. After that though, we needed to get this thing floating a bit better because at the moment, the dock was leaning heavily to the right. To do that, I took the 55-gallon drums that I brought over and filled them about 90% full of water. From there, you have to take the barrel and shove it under the dock structure and have it pop up on the inside. Much easier said than done. Once you manage to get the barrels where you want them, then you have to take all that water that you put in them back out.
Oh yeah!
After realizing this thing was going to need a lot of barrels to be back to its former glory, we decided to just settle for a dock that wasn't leaning heavily to one side, which we did accomplish. But we still had to address the other side of the dock, because even though we had the dock angled correctly for the road, the part setting on land was about 10 feet too far to the right. Luckily, Dave pretty much looks for any opportunity to rent a mini excavator that he can, so we went and snagged one from Home Depot, and we made quick work of moving the dock and filling in the dirt leading up to it. Ready, I headed out to start designing our ramp. Now, as much as I'd like to have made a massive ramp for maximum air, we really couldn't. With it being on a floating dock, if we made it too tall, it would definitely start to lean to one side or the other, or worst case scenario, it could completely flip the dock over. So I opted to build a long and low profile ramp that could send you far, but one that still had some kick to it if you wanted to boost it.
Okay, so today is ramp building day. We're kind of going old school here. I'm gonna use some lag screws and whatnot to kind of hold this all together. But yeah, we're just gonna pre-cut everything, put it together, just the frame, and then we'll take that frame that we make and bring it out to the dock and assemble the rest of it there. That way I don't have to drag a 200-pound ramp into the bed of my truck and then out onto the dock and all that junk. But yeah, should be fun. Haven't made a ramp like this in a good while, so I'm excited. Let's get to it. Okay, that's all the pieces. Start making a ramp.
Before I zoom past building the ramp, I wanted to show you guys an overhead shot of me making it because it really illustrates how I took my computer design and turned it into the ramp. You can see I literally mimic the design I make on the computer, and when it comes to cutting the curve, I set up the exact same radius of the circle by using a pole and some string. I make sure the lip and start of the ramp are the exact same distance, and then I can move my inner boards around a bit to get them on the path of the curve. From there, you just draw your radius on and then cut it out.
So that's it. All we gotta do now is add the decking and do some cross braces across the backside. But other than that, it'll be done. So we're gonna put it together on the dock because it'll be very heavy once all the decking's on. Anyway, let's take it, load it in the truck, and then we will haul it over to Dave's and start putting it on the dock. Hopefully it's not too top heavy. We'll see what happens. Let's go.
And just like that, the ramp was almost finished. But first we had to paint it. Not for looks, but for traction. To add traction using paint, you normally throw in sand and mix it all together, and that will add a little bit of a bumpy surface to your decking. But when me and Dave went to the paint store, the guy there recommended using walnut shells instead. He said unlike sand, the shells will actually absorb the paint so that they adhere to each other. I wanted to share that because I think it's pretty good advice, and it's probably true. Anyway, after getting it painted, I also screwed down a sheet of plywood so that we had a nice smooth transition onto the ramp instead of a big bump before flying into the air 40 feet. And just to overdo the amount of grip we had, I also threw on some grip tape. And now the ramp was totally done and ready to ride. But first, let me say a quick thanks to my sponsor for this video, Magic Spoon. Most days, I try to stick to a pretty low-carb diet, but I often don't have much time to make breakfast, which means I'm either skipping it or not eating something healthy. And most cereals these days are pretty much out the window if you're on a low-carb diet or on keto. But lately, I've been super stoked to have Magic Spoon cereal because it has 0 grams of sugar, 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs in each serving. Also, only 140 calories. So, it's been perfect for days when I'm on the move, and honestly, it tastes so good that I'll normally normally pack some with me on my way out the door. And if you'd like to try Magic Spoon, click the link below to grab a variety pack and try it today. And be sure to use the promo code BTB5 at checkout to get $5 off any order, or just go to magicspoon.com/BTB5. And also, Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for some reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. So click the link below and use the code BTB5 for $5 off, or go to magicspoon.com/BTB5 to save $5 and get some awesome healthy cereal. Now, let's ride this freaking ramp. This first day of riding, Dave didn't go for the backflip. I think everyone was just trying to get used to the weird feeling of jumping into a lake, because it's really not as great a feeling as you might think. So most of us were just shooting for distance. Although Justin from 1MTB did pull a one-hander, so that was kind of rad. But honestly, I just assumed it all felt too weird for Dave to even do a backflip, so I didn't press him on it. But then the next night, while I was editing, I got sent this picture. So I packed up my gear the next day to go film Dave doing a backflip. But that's not exactly what I got.
Oh, yeah!
Even though it wasn't a backflip, I would still say mission accomplished. Dave was super stoked to have something to keep practicing flips on, and thank God, because if he didn't, he probably would have tried backflipping the arrow, and that clearly would have ended badly. Thank you guys so much for watching. A huge thank you to my patrons for the support. You guys rock. The next time you see me, you'll be finding out what my next big project is. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next build.